Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
It's 8 o'clock. It's time to do this, right? I've been telling you what we're going to do. We're going to announce the lounge that's going to change your life. It's going to be one of the biggest lounges we've ever done here at Q101. So, coming up, Wednesday, October 2nd. Think about next week and what shows we already know are coming. It's kind of a blur with Riot Fest, like what's coming up. We think like everything's done now, but it's not.
This is true. I did think this show was actually in November until I was reminded there's a lounge coming up for this show.
Yeah, it's next week already. That's where we're at. So coming up in the lounge Wednesday next week is an incredibly special performance with Tyler Joseph of 21 Pilots in the damn lounge. Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable. He's never played the lounge. 21 Pilots has never played the lounge. In all the years of kind of growing with Q101 from the beginning, I feel like this band is kind of our house band in a way, and I'm not saying that in a demeaning way, but everywhere they've gone from the start to finish, from the start, let's say at the Bottom Lounge and places like that, to the United Center and the Takeover 3 years ago when they played 4 different venues from the smallest to the biggest, and the United Center show was one of the greatest shows I've ever seen in my life. They're one of the greatest live performers of all time. And Tyler Joseph is going to come in and do a special lounge for us next week.
I thought that I was going to be able to rhyme. I was going to say Myler Woshif is coming.
Ah, dang it.
and let people guess of 21 Pilots. And you didn't let me do it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I mean, Brian, you're so
No
right.
one was going to get it.
You're so right, because I talk to people all the time who always bring up, like, oh, I remember when 21 Pilots played the side stage at Picnic a decade ago. And then you think about the Twisted Christmases we've spent with them. You think about the United Center shows. And now they're going to be in the lounge, the most intimate setting in Chicago. Tyler Joseph of 21 Pilots. I cannot wait.
And what I like about 21 Pilots, and again, Tyler Joseph, who's doing the lounge, will be doing that, is that they adjust to the venue to give you a very historically memorable show no matter what it is. Like, for example, the Aragon in 2019 for Twisted Christmas was nothing like the show at the United Center. So when you compare those, the United Center show was a spectacle. And then the show at the Aragon was also a spectacle in a completely different way. So I imagine Tyler Joseph doing the lounge alone is going to be a spectacle, and you can be there. You'll also get 2 tickets to 21 Pilots at the United Center on that night, Wednesday, October 2nd. They're doing 2 shows over there.
I'm so excited. They're coming in October. It's spooky season. I've been saying this.
Yes.
Been saying it for day one, and I can't wait to approach Tyler Joseph and be like, hey, you never responded to my DM last year
Yeah.
about coming for Halloween.
Yeah.
So he's kind of making up for it now, and I appreciate that.
Please ask that afterward.
Why?
Because if you say it beforehand, maybe he won't play the lounge.
Why? I'm not going to, spit on him. I was just going to ask about it.
So Tyler Joseph, a special performance in the lounge here at Q101. Here's what we're going to do. You now know about it, okay? We're going to give away those passes to the lounge. You're the first people into a lounge that holds about 60 people max, and you'll have tickets to the show next week, which will be ridiculous. So after we play 21 Pilots here in 3.5 minutes, that's your chance to get into the lounge with Brian and Kenzie in Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
Q101.
Well, there you go, a little 21 Pilots next week. 21 Pilots at the United Center with Q101. And we just announced that a special performance from Tyler Joseph in the lounge will be next Wednesday. And the only way to win is to get in, like right now. 312-591-8300, caller 10. You are the first people in the lounge, first person with that guest. Boy, choosing a guest to come to that. Because imagine you win that. And how many of your friends are going to hit you up? And how do you decide who goes? Now, everybody's going to say, well, I'm the biggest, and I know this. Do you go through and quiz your friend, or do you just try to use this as clout? Maybe you're trying to impress a new boyfriend or girlfriend if you win.
I think you see what your friends can do for you.
I got you on this one. What are you going to do for me in the future?
Good. Is somebody working at an awesome restaurant? Or they give me some gift cards? Or what's going on here?
This is going to be historic. And I really did. It's funny thinking about that all the years of Q101 and the times they did a takeover. They've been in the studio here before. They've done so much with Q101, and we feel like we've grown with that band all these years, over a decade now at this point. And they're absolutely one of the greatest performers of our generation. I'm glad we're living in a time with 21 Pilots. Let me put it that way. I'm glad I'm living in the same time as them, because it's a band that once you see live, you're hooked forever, Case, we got our winner already?
I think we do. Brian, you might want to go to the phone lines and talk to the person in green there.
Is that Sheila checking in from Lyle's? Sheila, hello.
From Lyle.
Hey, how you doing, girl?
I'm doing great.
And what are you doing right now?
Who's with me right now?
No, what are you doing right now?
Oh, I'm sitting outside my job, just dying to get tickets to go.
What do you do for a living?
I work for the Park District.
Oh, aren't you outside already then?
Yeah, like you just like buy a different tree.
I
office
am
is a
outside
tree.
already. I'm supposed to be inside, but I'm sitting outside. I'm already an hour late.
I'm not trying to take this conversation longer, but is there an inside to the Park District?
There is an inside.
Oh,
But you're
Okay.
already an hour late.
I have to go inside and get my truck.
oh, got
I
it.
gotta admit, it's pretty ballsy to be an hour late for work and be like, hold on, I'm gonna call in for tickets really fast.
Well,
I know.
I know.
what's an hour and 5, really, to be honest?
Honestly,
If you're
this-
I
late.
know it is. They're all looking at me.
I'll tell
All
you
the
what.
squirrels.
All the squirrels and
Get to
deer.
work, bitch.
Oh, they're all looking at me. I'm in so much trouble.
You're not in trouble. Well, even if you are, it doesn't matter because
You know
you are
what?
the
Bring
you're
your
the
boss.
first. You're the first person in the lounge.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I can't believe it!
Believe it. You're in.
Oh my God! You made my day! Oh my God! Hopefully I'm not fired.
Well, I love that bringing your boss as your plus one.
Yeah, I would try that.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q 101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101, and time to look back as we look back 20 years, because 2004 is a really weird year in 2024 where maybe it's just for me. I don't know. I think I've confirmed that other people are also in that world because this started, earlier this year in January when it was something about the band TLC, right, Case?
Yeah, you were like, oh man, Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Remember when she burned down Andre Rison's house? That was what, like 8 years ago? And I said, no, Brian, it was 25 years ago. And every week, Brian reminisces on the past. He goes, what was that, like 5 years ago? No, Brian, it was 20 years ago. 2004 was 20 years ago.
It still seems not right.
And that's it. That's the whole wrap up. He's just shocked.
Well, he can't believe it. We're in October almost. He can't believe it.
I still can't believe it. Time has sped up for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but I think the government's involved, but we're not going to get on a sidetrack of that right now.
No, let's go down that rabbit hole. What did RFK Jr. do this time?
Well, let's just do it easily here first. Like 20 years ago on Saturday while you were at Riot Fest or maybe watching some college football, Green Day's American Idiot dropped 20 years ago Saturday. That doesn't seem right. That seems about 7 years ago.
That seems impossible.
20 years ago. Wow. That's a lot. What
You
do
know,
you think?
I feel like for me, I catch on to everything like later. So I'm always like, oh my God, I loved that movie. It's like Dirty Dancing. I'm like, I know it's older. Okay.
Sure.
So like, it's like I see, how old was this? So I was 9 when this came out.
Okay.
So I didn't set in, and I was like new. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
When you were like 14, you were like, yes.
Yes, new. I was
is
like,
awesome.
this song's great. I don't know if it's new or old, but I like what's happening here.
Have you guys heard American Idiot? They're like, yes.
Yeah.
We heard, yes, we did. Yeah, it's wild. And I can remember when they dropped that album, then they did a special show. They did a couple of them in the country, and one of them was at the Vic, where they played American Idiot in its entirety. And I got in that show, and it was insane to see. 20 years ago, Green Day was already an arena band. They were still playing the United Center. And
So they were that.
oh, my God, yeah. They could sell at Tinley Park a couple times at that point. When they announced a show at the Vic for 1,000 people, it was, I mean, I thought the Vic was going to collapse and never exist anymore. It was just going to go
It's a
and
tough
gone.
night for them.
Yeah, it was good. It was unbelievably iconic. So that was 20 years ago. Green Day, American Idiot. Also 20 years ago. And this may not be hard to believe because I do feel like this was a while ago. This one doesn't feel like it was last week or anything. Was the premiere of the TV show Lost.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Yeah. Was it really?
Oh, I love Lost.
Now, for someone like you that gets like Fight Club you've watched for the first time now and you get confused on it, How could you not be confused and lost?
I'll tell you exactly how I wasn't confused and lost. I was into the first 5 seasons.
Yeah.
And then they started time traveling, and I said, I'm out. I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
When Lost was good, because again, I haven't seen a lot of movies, but I've seen a lot of TV. TV is shorter than movies. It's much more easy to watch. When Lost was good, it was one of the best TV shows of all time. The twists and turns that not only did I not see coming, but the writers never saw coming, because for those that don't know, a lot of shows are written with the ending in mind. Lost was like, we'll make it up as we go.
Yeah, they did.
And there's a lot of we'll make it up as we go, but man, did it keep me on my toes again until they started time traveling, and then I said this show's dumb, and then I never watched it again.
They time traveled?
Kenzie, they did so much of that show.
I don't remember that at all.
It's a whole season of I don't know where the hell they are, and I don't know what's happening, and it was a real bummer.
How'd they figure out? Were they lost? How could they build a time machine?
Do you have any idea what the show's about? Like exactly.
I thought they got stuck on an island.
Very good.
I thought that was it.
Yeah.
I get that, and that other one was Skipper confused.
Gilligan's Island?
Yes. I get those confused. Aren't they also stuck on an island?
They are. They are very good.
Confusing.
They are very
Everyone's
good.
on an island these days.
I could be wrong, but when the pandemic came and everybody started binging old shows, and for the first time, some people saw The Sopranos for the first time. Some people watched Breaking Bad for the first time.
Right.
I
I
don't
watched
remember.
Ozarks for the first time.
Ozark. Well, that was actually more like a current show because they had the seasons
the
coming
pandemic?
out. Yeah, I think. So. I mean, I remember watching Ozark, waiting for a season somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But like, I don't remember anybody saying they went back and binged Lost. Am I wrong on that?
I did it when I was in high school, which was a little bit before the pandemic, so I can't speak to 2020 viewing, but you're right. That does feel like a show that probably deserves another renaissance. It's as good as some of the other shows that you just mentioned. Again, I really, really like it.
How many seasons are there of Lost?
I think there was 6.
When they start time traveling.
Season 5. And then it ended with a whimper. A lot of people think the last episode of Lost is one of the worst finales of all time.
They just ruined it.
Yeah, it's just, again, seasons 1 through 4, dynamite, no notes, a fantastic show, and man, does it peter off towards the end.
I didn't know this actually. Sorry, Kenzie. I know because I know you're a fan of this movie, Castaway, with Tom Hanks.
Yes.
They based the show on that. That's what
I thought. Because also, my problem is Survivor, Lost, Castaway, and Gilligan's Island are all the same thing. So that's like the same vibes.
Because they all have islands involved.
Same energy. They're stuck everywhere.
It cost $14 million, the pilot alone, which is the most $14 million for a one TV show.
I believe it. Do you remember the pilot?
Yes.
Oh, my God. One of the best beginning episodes to a TV show of all time. And I'm somebody who traditionally likes sitcoms. Dramas sometimes don't reel me in. I was in on Lost from the jump when I started watching it years after the fact.
But really fast, how did they build a time machine while they're on an island?
It wasn't a time machine.
Oh.
They just fell into time.
They fell into time.
Yeah.
Yes, the island had powers. That's like a whole part of the show.
Like, you know that J.J. Abrams...
All the seasons it has powers.
So J.J. Abrams has done some of the Star Wars movies more recently, and a legendary science fiction guy. You know they were sitting there just baked and going like, okay, what if the island had powers? Okay, that's a good ending. Write that down so we don't forget it. Don't do that. Let's do that.
What other powers did it have?
There was like polar bears on the island, even though it was a hot island. There's a whole bunch. The Dharma Initiative was a whole thing.
It was
like read your mind to talk to you?
Yeah.
It did?
I don't know.
I mean, you watched it.
Well, that's the thing. It was very confusing, and it did. There's a lot of shows today that are confusing. This was probably the first show that was really confusing.
So now we're all supposed to be the viewer or the people on the island?
Everybody.
Okay, we're all lost.
It really was. I couldn't even imagine re-binging that. I don't know. Maybe people do, and maybe they did. I don't know.
The problem is when you watch the show, you have to pay attention. There's a lot of intricate details in the show, and you're kind of a snack and watch guy.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that chewing would cause you to miss major plot holes.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it in real time. I remember watching Lost back then, and
Do you ever look up at a TV show and go, ugh, I gotta rewind? I was looking at my phone. Like, that happens to me all the time. Like, why are these two kissing?
Yeah.
Wait a damn minute.
Lost definitely is one of those shows. And also, let's see, that's 20 years ago, the premiere of Lost. And then 20 years ago, American Idiot. 30 years ago, Friends debut.
Seen it.
Let's go back. See
what
now,
I've seen.
one that's not confusing and no time travel, just a bunch of laughs.
Some people think the coffee shop has powers. It always drags them back in.
Wow, September 22nd, so it was yesterday, 30 years ago. that Friends debuted. And this is absolutely a show that a lot of people, my niece, I remember talking to me, Brian, have you seen Friends? I'm binging it here during the pandemic. Yeah, I've seen it. I got it. I'm good. I got it.
Did you watch the whole thing through, though?
I did.
It's so good.
I did. Now, I would say this, for me, watching it in real time, how the first season was so good because Matthew Perry was so snarky.
Yeah.
He was so far. And I know they pulled him back a little bit during the season. He still had that. I get it. He still had that snarkiness, which made the show great. But I remember the first season being really over the top where Chandler Bing was always an a-hole.
So that happens a lot with character development because they do testing, people rate them. That actually happened with Michael Scott's character in The Office. That is why the whole first season, he's just like a pain in the ass the whole time. Annoying. He does diversity day and gets trouble. Very funny. But they realized they wanted people to like him. And the second season is when you find out that he's lonely and he actually loves all of his coworkers. He's just kind of overcompensating, trying to get them to like. And you have this little bit of a heart for him, like in the Dundies episode when he's getting made fun of, things like that.
Yeah.
And they actually had to make a conscious decision to humanize him. And they kind of had to do that with Chandler Bing, too. So it wasn't too aggressive. People need to, you have to have the heartful moment for those characters, if that makes sense.
I agree, but I liked Chandler Bing like he was in the first season.
Yeah, because you saw yourself in him.
I did, yeah.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Time for some music and entertainment news for you. Start off with Jane's Addiction that we talked about a lot in the last couple weeks of the meltdown on stage where Perry Farrell, the creator of Lollapalooza, who we see every year in Grant Park, thank God he brought Lollapalooza to Grant Park for a permanent home after it already collapsed as a touring festival. And now it's just obviously one of the greatest spots in the world to come see a show in Grant Park and what it does every year. But Perry Farrell also fronting Jane's Addiction, the fight on stage where he punched Dave Navarro, the guitar player, after getting together for the first time in 30 years. And then they all put apologies out there and it's over. Well, now Perry Farrell's wife says he is seeking some basically treatment from an otolaryngologist. That's an ear, nose, and throat guy. Now, he said basically on stage that he certainly had a problem hearing on stage because the band was playing too loud. When you're 64 years old, you've been playing in a band for 40 years, everybody and people can relate. That's why I always say wear ear protection if you're going to shows like Riot Fest. Just put some earplugs in. It is okay. I know it doesn't look cool and people might rip you, but you know what? You'll be the one that can hear later on. Yeah, you'll be the one that can hear later in life. You know what I mean? So wear them if you can. And again, when you were in a band like that on stage and it's loud, and that's his argument. He's also going to see a neurologist. Now, this might be him trying to say, look, I need to get some help. I was not wasted on stage. Some people say you saw him chugging a bottle of wine and caused the fight, but who knows? I just hope Perry Farrell gets the help he needs so we can keep Lollapalooza going like it should. And that situation, because it's the best thing ever to go over here. And he's a super nice guy. Whenever we've talked to him at Lollapalooza backstage, it's great. Something also not going so well with a singer on stage. So the guy for Journey, Arnel Pineda, who's been in the band for 20 years, like longer than Steve Perry was ever in the band. He played at Rock in Rio, and there's some audio going around of him struggling to sing the songs. A lot of people having voice problems out there. A lot of stuff going around where you can't sing on stage.
My voice hurts today. I get it.
Yelling at Riot Fest all weekend.
I know, and I wasn't performing. I was just yelling.
Here's
writing.
Here's some of the audio for Rock in Rio where he's getting slammed on social media. It's like, hey, you can have an off night. Can't hit the notes, but he's really upset because it was in Rock in Rio in front of like 800,000 people. That sounds okay. A little bit there. It gets worse. Not too bad. Yeah, the crowd kind of do it there. And then he should have stopped there. It's the end where you really hear it. not the worst thing I've ever heard.
It's not horrible. It's just like...
The problem is, those songs are sung way too high.
Oh, yeah, the problem is the song,
It's
obviously.
right. I mean, it's what ruined Steve Perry's voice in the band, the original singer. Like, he left because he couldn't hit the notes anymore, and they're like, okay, you're gone, and we'll get somebody else. And they get this guy.
I mean, this guy is phenomenal.
How phenomenal was he?
I am telling you, if you watch the docuseries on them finding him, he's from the Philippines.
Yeah.
He comes from nothing. He was not auditioning for this gig. He used to just sing karaoke in the Philippines, and he had one super fan who used to go to an internet cafe and upload the videos, and it would take him about 7 hours to upload each video.
Yeah.
And this band was looking at all the tribute bands, like, okay, I guess. And then stumbled upon him. He has, not when it's struggling, a very similar voice to Steve Perry.
Oh, it's exactly like it.
It's very good.
It's ridiculous. They found him on YouTube. I guess Neil Schoen, the guitar player, someone recommended him that way, and he saw the YouTube videos.
It's crazy, and I have seen him, and it was very good when I saw him, so I feel bad.
Yeah, everybody.
There's such hard songs.
It's too high. People weren't supposed to sing that high.
Could you imagine the last scene of The Sopranos, but with that version of the song? While Meadows trying to park the car, and there's the guy in the members-only jacket looking at Tony, and they're like, let's get some food for the table, and it's that version of Don't Stop Believing.
Oh, boy.
I think the show would be remembered differently.
And he feels terrible. Everybody's ripping him on social media, of course, people that were there.
Leave him alone. Everyone's mean. Stop it.
You know what his story is, really? It's the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston, which... I know Case.
He had a little bit rougher times than Mark Wahlberg was having in his nice suburban home with his family.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it's the story of how he got in the band. It's exactly like how Rockstar happens, where he's in a tribute band. I don't want to give too much away. Spoiler alert, because Case hasn't seen Rockstar yet, but I think it's on the list. Should it be on the list?
Rockstar is great. However, this guy was not in a tribute band.
Well, same kind of thing, singing karaoke. Same thing. He's not in his own original music band. He's doing his own deal. But I'm saying is that I don't know if Case needs to see that movie at some point.
I love that movie.
Let's see. It came out on September 4th, 2001, so we missed the 23rd anniversary of it.
Oh, that's too bad.
It was not a huge movie. I'm curious how many of our listeners saw Rockstar, because it's a great movie.
I love that movie.
I do too.
I saw it on TV later in life, though. I think it was on like E! Or MTV or something later.
Oh, yeah.
That's when I saw it.
It's on now and then. You can check it out. There's a lot of good cameos of rock stars in there as well. So
very fun.
Yeah, check it out. Oh, speaking of bands and some revealing stuff, I found this. CBS Sunday Morning is a TV show that has great extended interviews.
Your dad probably watches it if you're unfamiliar with the program.
It really is that dad kind of show, mom and dad show. But if you sit down and forget about maybe it not being cool to watch it, you'll realize they have some of the best interviews out there. And they had Pearl Jam on yesterday. So they talked about the beginning of the band. And this was so, revealing because I'd never heard this audio before. It's Eddie Vedder talking about he's in San Diego and the guys in Pearl Jam are just kind of in the wake of Mother Love Bone, that band dissolving because Andrew Wood died of a heroin overdose. And that could have been the end of the band. We never would have heard of Pearl Jam or Temple the Dog or anything. And Eddie Vedder had heard about these guys. He's in San Diego, a surfer, and he's working nights. And a singer in some bands down there doing some stuff. They send him a tape of their material. And I'll let Eddie Vedder explain it right here in the interview and the host.
When he heard a group of Seattle musicians was looking for a singer, they sent a cassette of instrumental songs. He wrote lyrics to them while surfing.
I'm doing those midnight shifts, security, so when I went for surf in the morning, I remember it being super foggy and one of those days where you think maybe I won't go out, but I had the music in my head, the instrumental, and just kind of wrote it, and then I was still wet when I hit record.
When you heard what he sent back, what did you think?
I listened to it, and then I remember I left and went and got a coffee, and then I came back and I listened to it again, and then I remember calling Stone and I said, "Do you need to come over here right now?" And
bassist.
Basically, that was Jeff Ament, the bass player. He goes, "Hey man, it's just so on point with the Seattle band. I went and got a coffee."
Hey man,
didn't go to work, didn't go to a job.
So here at Eddie Vedder, I mean, they played that audio. That's incredible. That was Eddie Vedder on a cassette, listening to it live. And singing along to it, just some words he came up with after surfing and working a security job overnight. And it's one of the greatest songs of all time. without question. I mean, it's unbelievable how that generation happened there. But I just love how he's just like, Jeff Ament's like, yeah, I got a coffee, came back. Hey, maybe you should come over here.
I get it. I can't do anything without a coffee.
Yeah.
If you mean business, you get a coffee first.
I think we found our new singer, and it's going to change music for the next 30 years. Unbelievable. It's a really great feature, and it was on CBS Sunday morning, but it's on YouTube. So the whole interview, I'll put a link up to it to check it out. And here's some Pearl Jam now. I'm Brian Kenzie, Q101.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.